Well, joining us now is Tom Bevan, co-founder and president of Real Clear Politics. Tom, welcome back. Great to see you. As Eric just mentioned, there are calls for Dr. Fauci to appear before Congress. What are your thoughts on that and what appears to be the growing evidence and support for the lab leak theory?
Yeah, the picture continues to emerge. And in addition to Fauci being asked to testify again to clarify some of his previous statements and react to some of the additional reporting that has come out, three senators called on him to resign. Republican senators are calling on him to resign and or be fired by President Biden. So, look, I think Dr. Fauci has been in the center of the public eye now throughout the pandemic. He was lionized from the beginning, but we're beginning to learn more about his role and the possibility that he wasn't always frank with the American people and some of the things that he said. So I think there's a lot more to this story and to trying to find the origins of the COVID virus. There's a lot more work to be done, and hopefully at some point we will get to the bottom of it because we need to know how this started so it won't happen again.
Yeah, and as we recently heard, Dr. Fauci said the criticism of him is, quote, an attack on science. Do you think that's a fair assessment?
I think that was a wild overstep on his part. It's an absolute straw man. I mean, Dr. Fauci is not above criticism. He's a public health official, and he works for the American taxpayer, and so we have every right to scrutinize and criticize. Every American does, including elected officials, and to somehow throw up this heat shield to say that, well, if you're attacking me, you're attacking science. And that is a wild overstatement. And it's a deflection, actually, away from him. And I'm really surprised that he did it because it makes you wonder why he went that route, because it immediately drew more scrutiny toward him because of the way he said that and tried to basically put himself above criticism. And that is not how this works.
Yeah, Tom, I'm going to switch gears for a minute here. A federal probe found the decision to clear protesters from an area in front of the White House last summer was not influenced by President Donald Trump's plans to stage a photo op there. However, at the time, as you know, many media outlets were reporting the opposite. Can you talk about that and why it was not the only time that the media got it wrong when it came to Trump?
Yeah, I mean, this is the latest example, another example of how the media absolutely abdicated their responsibility and rushed forward to report things that turned out later. Now we find, a full year later in this case, that it simply was not true. And we just talked about the lab leak theory as another example, in part because it was driven by the media's antipathy toward Donald Trump. And when he suggested that it was possible that this virus leaked from a lab, they immediately ridiculed that statement. They ignored any evidence to construct this preferred narrative, and that's exactly what happened with the Lafayette Square situation. There was plenty of evidence. Had the press not rushed to judgment, had they taken their time and I think investigated, as the Inspector General report came out, they would find that there were alternate explanations to what happened that day. But again, the press wasn't willing or able to hear any of that and decided to rush forward with the narrative. Those are just two examples, but there are plenty more. And it's unfortunate because I think the media's credibility has been really tarnished over the last few years.
Not a lot of time left, about 30 seconds or so. But lastly, President Joe Biden, as you know, is appearing at the G7 summit. What are the expectations for the trip, and in particular, his meeting with Russian President Vladimir Putin?
Yeah, I mean, the expectations for his meeting with Putin, I think, are very low. And I think part of what Joe Biden wants to do, and you've heard him say this in his speeches, is to try and reset and say, listen, America is back. And because Trump had obviously some prickly relations with some of our European allies, and Joe Biden wants to basically change tack and go back to the sort of, we're all in this together, go along, get along type of mentality. And I think that's being well received, but that's certainly part of this. I'm not sure anything substantive is really going to come out of any of the meetings that he's going to be with, other than sort of the public relations message that he's trying to send to folks around the world.
All right, got to leave it right there. Thank you so much, Tom. Tom Bevan, co-founder and president of Real Clear Politics. Thanks again.
Thank you.